I'm not even in there. I'm sorry. I didn't even have my face in there. Uh, Shut. I'm here. Retirement disaster. Um, why? What inspired this video? And let me just read you this. I was reading in one of my um, advisor retirement magazines that I get each month, and just let me take my glasses off here and read just a minute. Looking for the perfect gift to give that friend or relative who just had a baby. And the reason I was thinking about this is my neighbor close by. She just had a baby, and he is super duper adorable. But this is what it says: babies born now will eventually need $2 million nest egg. Denise, me baby, huh? Denise, what are you talking about? Yeah, you're one of the ones with zero saved, Denise. Tell me it ain't so. How are you watching this? Do you not have anybody in the Denise's? She needs to have some people coming so she can clean their teeth. Anyhow, well, let me read you this. This is amazing. Lunch. Okay, she's at lunch. Looking for the perfect gift to give that friend or relative who just had a baby? Forget swaddling blankets or bouncy swings. Instead, put some money in the Little Tax Retirement Fund. A Prudential study found that a baby born in 2025 will need a $2 million nest egg for retirement. So that's what they're suggesting. And then they go over some other things that other people have thought about and talked about. Um, but seriously, if you are, um, let me give you some ideas. Let's just talk about this just for a few minutes. Um, I have talked about um, dividend stocks before, and you know, it's not that they are the everything, whatever, but you can start as small as you need to start. And I'll give you an idea. I was looking at, okay, what if you would just put $1,000? That is basically less than $100 a month for a year, or $100 a month in 10 months. Or you go and have a yard sale or two and you build up and get to the $1,000. But or you work overtime. This would be oblivious for Tim to do this, but okay, work some overtime. Get a second job. Go work with DoorDash or Uber or whatever. There are ways that you can accumulate an extra $1,000. Don't discount it, and let's start with this. You put the $1,000. You can either do it if you were, listen, open a Robinhood account. I'll leave a link below, and you and I will both get a free stock. But open a Robinhood account, and let's take a look at this. I'm going to show you. Let me share my screen real quick. Share screen. Well, what? Share screen. Okay. Okay. Right, here we go. Let's go here. This is Ford. Everybody's heard of Ford Motor Company. Okay, it's gone up to $10.15. The last time I had looked at it, just a few minutes ago, it was trading at $10.10. It has they have just raised their dividend since February 18th. Their last dividend was 30 cents. 30 cents. It was at 15, but now they have raised it to 30 cents. Okay, so you have, let me stop sharing just a second. So you have 30 cents. I went 1,000 divided by, it was at that time $10.10. and that would give me 99. Got to go. We'll watch it later. Bye. See you later, Denise. Thanks for coming by. Thanks for contributing. But 99 shares. 99 shares times 30 is $29.70. 4 times a year, quarterly. So you would get that quarterly, $29.70. That is $118.80 yearly. I also looked at, let me go back and share the screen again. So that was the top one, $118.80 with $1,000. Doesn't seem like a lot, but guess what? With that $118.80, you divide that by, let's just assume that the stock hasn't gone up a dime. 10, 10, you would get 11 additional shares each year. So instead of 99, you would now have 9 plus 11. Without putting another dime in, you would have 110 shares. And it would incrementally grow over time. And I know that's not a lot, but you have to begin somewhere with something. If you don't like Ford, there's AT&T or there's Realty Income. But this is the thing, is you have got to start with something, with a plan. You plan $100 a month, you put it in a savings account at the end of the year, you put the whole thing into, maybe you don't like an individual stock. Let me present here. Share the screen again. Let's see where we at right there. Let's go there. What you can do is, okay, you like a basket of stocks. There are the Qs. This is the NASDAQ. The problem with this one is it's a $479.40 for one share. Quite expensive. There are other indexes that have that have something. So I'm just saying, you want to start with something. I picked Ford because everybody has seen a Ford car, Ford truck. You know what Ford is. It's a car company. They're not going out of business. They may, and they have, reduced their dividends before, okay? But obviously they're wanting to become a big player because they just doubled their dividend. I had not even realized that. I do have a little bit of Ford stock because I got a Robinhood, and the stock that they gave me was Ford. Now, let's take a look. Let's look at, now this one is a monthly, and this is part of this particular stock right here is Realty Income Corporation. They are part of this company has raised its dividend yearly for the last 25 years plus, okay? 25 years plus. So anyhow, it's $56.57. You would get, with $1,000, you would get 17. I did it at $56.51, so it would be a little bit less right here, right now. But at $56.51, you could get 17 shares, and the dividend is right here, 0.268 monthly. So that would be $4.56, not much, times 12 is $54.72 over a year's time. Even though it is double, when I looked at AT&T, everybody knows AT&T, I'm just showing you real stocks that have dividends. This one is quarterly, so it's every 3 months. But their latest dividend is 0.278. And you can buy more shares. You could, with 1,000 at $26.68, I could buy 37 shares times 0.278 is $10.29 quarterly, times 4 is $41.16. So in all reality, even though you have less shares with Income Realty, you make more in a year's time. But without a doubt, you make much more with Ford. You have a lot more with Ford. Let me stop sharing. So, in my opinion, Ford would be the better way to go if you only had $1,000. But look, that's only part of it. There are lots and lots of people that are trying to get into retirement and they have not paid off their house. And we have a program, I can help you with that, that would allow you to pay off your house in 1/2 to 1/3 of the time. So let's take an idea of, okay, if you're still paying for a house, I mean, there's several different ways, and I've talked about this before. One of the other things that I saw, I don't have it in here with me. I have my phone, and what was it? There's a house in Louisiana. Gosh, I wish I could. I wish I knew where that was at, but it was $26,000. Now, you may be saying, well, and it may be, I don't know, you'd have to look, but you may be able to, if your house is worth 200,000 or 300,000, but you owe 100. Let's say you have a house worth 300, you owe 100,000 left, so you would net. Okay, in reality, you're not going to net 200,000 because you have to pay the realtor, right? But let's assume that when everything's done, you would have $200,000 from the sale of your house. You could then reinvest. You know, if you're going to retire, you can move and be anywhere that you want to be. You're not locked in to the place where you are. Because I mean, if you want to be there because your kids are there, that they're going to take care of you, but in reality, are they going to take care of you? So you could, and I mean, the fact of the matter is you could go into a house like the one in Louisiana for $26,000. Okay, you've paid for it. Boom, you paid for it. And let's say 200,000 is what you netted. Subtract, let's say 27, and that's $173,000 that you would have. So you're not necessarily without, even though you still had a mortgage on your house. These are things that you need to think about. The other thing is, okay, maybe you're not right at 60 and thinking about, and you don't have any money saved. Let's say that you do have a house, a mortgage. The quicker that you can pay that house off means that if that house is worth $300,000 and you owe 200, the quicker that you can get it paid off in half the time or 1/3 the time, that means that you have that much more money. Say your mortgage is $1,500 a month with everything, taxes, whatever, all of it. 1,500 times 12 is 18,000. If you're looking at 18, that's almost $20,000. Let's just say your house is paid for, plus everything else, you don't owe anything, and that accounts for maybe $20,000 that you were paying out in interest payments, the mortgage, credit cards, car, whatever, and you had $20K that you had available in a year. Let's see what 20K divided by 12 is. Okay, that's only 1667. I rounded up. $1,667. But let's say it's $2,000 a month that you have. That's 24,000 times 12 is 24,000. 24,000 times 4 is, guess what? Well, it's almost 100,000. It's almost 100,000. It's $96,000. $96,000. That's $100,000. You do that. That's for. So if you did that for 12 years, that's without interest. You would have times 8 is no. let's see, 24,000 times 15 years. It's $360,000 without interest alone. That would give you $360,000. So without a doubt, if you were able to even just put it in and building up through dividends. What if you had, let's go back to those people that had, let's just say that you had invested in, you have had invested in Apple, and let's just go back to 2000, okay? So let's take a look at this. Let me present, share screen, and go to there. Let's look at Apple. Look at a lot of people use their Apple phones. They love their phones. Let's look at it. Let's see. Let's go back. Let me do. Trying to get to summary. Summary. Oh, let me see. Maybe it is an advanced chart. I just want to open up your, let's see, comparison, draw. Let's see. Let's see, why is it not doing, let's go back. Okay, it's going to load the chart for me. I'm going to go all time. Oh, okay, that's where I'll do it. Okay. So if you go back to, I'm trying to get January. Okay. There's January 2000. Can you believe it? January 2. Let's forget about 2000. Let's go to, it was 2007. Let's say you had, well, let's go 2008. Let's go 2009. Because everybody knew about the Apple phone at that point. It had been invented. Did you know that Apple, okay, according to this, was opened at $3.07. $3.07. Probably it's going back because, let's see. I have a thing. And I mean, I'm just going by, okay, this is January 2009. That was 307 was the open, through 22 was the close. So let's just say you bought it at 322, and you are putting in, let me see, I want to check something else out. How many times has stock split? How did they know? How did they know? Okay, it says how much is 10,000 invested in Apple 20 years ago? So that would have been an investment of $10,000 invested in Apple 20 years ago. So that would have been 2005. Your investment would now be worth $2.7 million. And you say, well, Michelle, I don't have $10,000, and I didn't have $10,000 back then. But, okay, we already talked about the fact that, okay, what happens when you have your house paid for? I mean, we talked about two different strategies. Let me get this back. Stop. We talked about two different strategies. You could, after your kids are gone, you're 50 years old, maybe you only have one child that left, and they're through, and you're where you are. At 50, you may not be able to move just anywhere, but you could use the same type of strategy. You could use the same type of strategy. And I've seen people talk about how they have, okay, let's stay focused on this one thing here. You may not be able to sell your house at 300,000 and you bought and you owed 100, and so you've got the 200,000, but maybe you can get an extra 50 or 60,000 or whatever. And maybe you can work from home or with somewhere that you have um, access to the internet, and you're making 50,000, 60,000. Let's say 100,000, just 100,000 even. You can take that 50,000 or whatever that you made from the house, move to a place that may not be as big as where you were, and you're using that money to grow for your retirement. Here's another thought. You have $1,000 in your checking account, but you have not started doing anything. I mean, I have seen over and over where people let's attack one area that you can manipulate. You can manipulate the area of groceries. Look at your grocery bill, and let's say, it's two of you. The kids are gone. It's just you and your spouse, and you all now may want to. There's ways that you can save on your grocery. There's tons of videos, even now. And guess what? People may not like it, but guess what? The egg prices are coming down. They're coming down. Thank God, because eggs are such a part of our life as an American, and an easy, inexpensive way to have protein in your diet. But you can find these videos that talk about how you can make good meals from different places with your beans and rice, baby. Beans and rice. Making all types of soups and such as that. But attack that grocery bill. See what you're spending on food and attack it. Okay. I've seen a million of them. Even if it's $35 or $50, and you say, okay, this week we are only going to spend $50 on food, and it's going to pay for everything for you and I, and we're going to attack it. Say you're used to having $100 a week that you're spending on food. Now that may include going to out to eat or quick things or whatever. So you commit. Okay, for that week we're going to take $50. We're going to spend it. That's all we're going to spend on food. Take the other $50 that you would have spent and put it in a savings account. These are ways that you can save money. And then the real deal is doing that on a consistent basis. You've got to do it on a consistent basis. But over time, let me go back to my example of people are spending tons and tons of money. They're refinancing their house over and over again and setting the clock back. Say it's a 30-year mortgage that you're getting every time. You're setting that back, and basically half of it is not going to be able to. You could pay it off in half the time, and we have a way to do that, and I can show you. You want to reach out to me, www.michellemorar.com. Reach out to me, and I would be glad to show it to you, put your numbers in there, and you would be completely debt-free. We are paying, as Americans, tons and tons of money to taxes and interest payments. The reason most people do not have a retirement is because they have no plan to take care of the debt that they have, and they're in debt and they do not see a way out of it. And I'm telling you, these are two main things that you can look at. This is the other thing I wanted to share with you. We're talking about a baby born today needing $2 million nest egg. I don't think that's necessarily. I mean, if you had, let's just say you had $1 million right now. Well, let's say 200,000, and divide that by 1010 is equal. You could have 19,801 shares of Ford stock, and you multiply that by 30. All right, I got to do it again. Let's see. Did I do 200,000? Divided by 1010. Yeah, 19,801 shares. 19,801 times 30. That's $5,940.30 quarterly times 4 is $23,761.20. Never touching. Now, if they decrease the dividend, then guess what? They decrease the dividend. But the reality is you would be getting $23,000 a year. That may not sound like a lot, but if you combine that with Social Security and say you've got another, let's say $2,000 times 12, 24,000 plus 23,000 is $47,000. You're telling me if your house and everything is paid for that you can't live on $47,000? There's tons of people that do, and it would be it's not going to be extravagant, but that is not a lifestyle. Of $47,000 is not a lifestyle, and that's only with $200,000, and that's using just Ford stock. Maybe a little bit scary, and there's some ways that you can do that are a little bit safer if it scares you as far as that. But that's not even touching. That is not even touching the principal. You're just getting the dividend. And that's one stock, not necessarily the, I'll be honest with you. I feel like a lot of people make things complicated. And, if you wanted to do a little bit safer, maybe you do the SPY or QQQ. I mean, there's other ways to do it. You need to reach out to somebody to talk to them about your finances. I would be happy to talk with you and give you some ideas on what you can do. I'm not telling you to go out and buy any of these 3 stocks. I'm giving you examples. This is just examples of what is possible. These are possibilities that you can think about. There's safer ways to do certain things, and I would be glad to talk to you about those safer ways. But this is the truth. You do not need to panic. You need to start. You need to start with something. I try to show people just start with something small. Something small. You don't think $10 is $10 small enough for you? You can't, and depending on how old you are, if you are watching this and you are on Social Security and you're telling me you don't have $10 that you couldn't set aside and make another choice. I told you the choice between having $100 a week grocery bill and a $50 a week grocery bill, where, okay, I'm going to live on this much a week. I saw this guy and he did a fantastic job. He had 4 meals for, I don't know how much it was, like $30 for, and you can still do some of those type of meals. You can do that for a week's type of time. You can do that. look at what you're spending and make a commitment to do. And look, this is the other thing is, I mean, honestly, we spend a little bit too much on a drink like the RC Cola and my little moon pie. We spend a little bit too much money on that. Maybe, let's talk about this. Maybe you do have a little patch of, I've seen different things talked about on YouTube where they talked about having a tiny little garden and just maybe you make just tomatoes. And you like tomatoes, and you can do different things with those tomatoes. You could, and a tomato with tomato seeds and stuff, you know, this guy was talking about how if you had a little area, you could have, it just takes a few seeds. It just takes a few seeds to have some stuff. And that could be that you keep that continuously. You know as well as I do that there are people that grow tomatoes year round. They'll have it in their house. And what could tomatoes do? Well, they could provide you some salad, some for your salad without you having to pay for it. I know that they're not that expensive, but you eliminate that. I'm talking about eliminating things and having things that you can control. You can control that. Going from $100 a month or a week down to $50 for a week. That means if you were spending $400, now instead of spending $400, you have $200 that you're spending if you did it for a month, $200, and you could save that $200. $200 times 12 is $2,400. $2,400 may not seem like a lot, but if you put it in something that you're investing in it, and over time, let's take a look at Apple for the last year. Let's look. Let me share my screen. Share my screen. Oh, you know what? I'm going to give you a better one. I was looking at this. I personally am in, and I didn't do it at the beginning of last year. But Palantir. Look at that thing go. Go, go, go. That's what I have to say about that. Go, 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 baby. 1 year. Okay. So, $3.19, it was at $23.80. Okay. That was the close. So it closed at $23.80. We got it at $23.80 last year. And you had saved $2,400. So we divide that by $23.80. You would have 100 shares. You'd have 100 shares. A little bit, you'd have some change left over. But you'd have 100 shares, so 100 shares. And then let's multiply that by 86.78. So you would have 86.78 in 1 year. 1 year. 8,678 from 2,400 in 1 year. Now I didn't get in at 23.8, but I didn't get far at. And I do have 100 shares of it. And there's other things you can do with that 100 shares. Is when you have 100 shares, you can do some other stuff with it. You can buy, sell your options, buy your options. Not buying, but selling options, and make money off of it, income off of it over time. So there's many things that you can do, but I'm just saying, if you had bought Palantir last year at $23.80, you would now have from $2,400 That is way more than double. Way more. It's about 3 to 4 times, almost 4. Let's see, 23.80 times 4 is, well, it has already been past 4 times. So that would have been a 4-bagger in a year. They call a bag every time it doubles. That would be $8,678. Just saying. Just saying. These are things, but that's what $22,400 could have done for you. That's what it could have done. And then you're talking about, I do this, I love this. This is my thing, from $1 to $1 million. Because let me say, with $1 million, there's no way that you couldn't live off $1 million. Let's look at a million. Just $1 million divided by 10 is 99,009. Okay, 99,009 times 0.3 is, then is $29,702.70 every quarter. Multiply that by 4 is $118,000 without touching the principal, just on if you had only Ford stock. I know that's not the wisest thing to do, because they could cut the stock and cut the. I'm just giving you. I'm trying to open your eyes and let you see. But it doesn't even take $1 million. But $118,000. You tell me who couldn't live on that in America? You can. So let's summarize this. If you're needing help, if you're needing some guidance, and you want somebody to talk to, you can go to www.michellemorar.com. Fill out the need more information, and we can sit down and talk and evaluate, because I'm telling you right now that you are spending on Minka and RC Colas for the day, and you're not spending adequately money on saving your money. You're not looking at ways to cut your bills. I mean, even, okay, let's talk about this. You know what? You have the internet. There are tons of free television right now. All you need is some internet. You may be paying $88 a month for your streaming service or whatever. Eliminate that and just sacrifice yourself. Sacrifice. These are things you have to do. You have to sacrifice. You have to be willing to sacrifice. So 88 times 12 is 1,056. Over $1,000 right there in a year's time. You still have TV because you still have internet. So let's say 1,056. We've gone through. We looked at our grocery bill, and we were able to save $2,400. Let's look at that. $2,400 plus 1,056. Those are two things to adjust. And I know people don't want to talk about it. They don't want to sacrifice. And this is one of the reasons why they have nothing for retirement. It's because they don't want to look at what they are doing. First of all, you got to see where you're at. Look and see. I haven't even talked about the fact of the matter of, okay, this is the other thing is, okay, well, let's look at that. $3,456. Let's say that you had that saved instead of the $2,400, and you bought Palantir. You just bought that one stock. Well, let's see, divide that by 23.80. You have 145 times, what was Palantir going for? It's 86.60. 86.70. Okay. I just have to look real quick. Let's go 145 times 86.70. It's been up over $125 this year. But right now, that 145, that would have given you $12,571.50 that you could have locked in right now here today, and you would have been on the table from 1 to a million. You started out with 30, let's see, it was how much? 1056 plus 2400, 3456. So you would have been right between here. There we go. Between here. And you would have jumped to between here. You would have jumped. And now you have, and that's 1 year. That is 1 year of sacrifice. 1 year of sacrifice. And yes, you would have had to, you would have had to do different things of sacrifice. It would have taken sacrifice. No television, not going to pay for cable, going to only have a streaming service through the internet. Let's take another. You have a phone. And instead of paying, let's say there's two of you, and let's say it's $160 and you have T-Mobile. $160. T-Mobile. And instead of that, you take Cricket at, or let's see, what is the other one that well, I don't know, Cricket. Let's say Cricket, and you can get Cricket for $90. Okay? So let's see. 160 minus 90 is $70. Add it to your pile, baby. So we got 70 plus 1,056. That's doing without the $88 a month on the television, the streaming service that you have, plus the $2,400 that you saved on your food over the years' time. Okay, that's $3,526. $3,500 with 3 bills, guys. 3 bills. 3 bills. Let's see what it would have been. Divide by 2380. You would have been able to get 148. So not much more, but let's see, times 8670. So instead of 12,000 times 8670 is 12,000. Okay, a little over 12,800. 12,831.60. And I know that wasn't much. Did I do that right? No, I didn't do it right. I didn't think that was like, what is she doing? Okay, 70 times 12 is 840. Is 840 plus 1,056 plus 2,400 is, okay, $4,296. Let me do it again. 160 minus 90 is 70 times 12 is 840 plus 1,056 plus the 2,400 is equal to, and guess what? The biggest expense that you had of all of those was your grocery bill. Your grocery bill. But $4,296. You put all that into Palantir. 1 year. Just 1 year. Okay, divide that by 2380. It's 180 shares times 8670. It may be up or down, times 86.7 is $15,006. $15,606 is how much you would have made and you would have had in 1 year's time. 1 year. 1 year. Now, I know that finding a stock that's going to do that is not necessarily easy to find. It's not necessarily easy to find. But, you know, all I'm saying is you could have done that. And like I said, what did I say? If you had invested $10,000 in Apple stock 20 years ago, you'd have $2.7 million, and you can live on $2.7 million. It took 10,000, so okay, you have 15,000 in 1 year. You may not be able to catch another rocket like that, or you might. Let's look at DoorDash. When did the Dash come available? DASH. So let me do this. Let me share the screen with you. Present. Share the screen. Share the screen. Let's look at DoorDash, baby. Let's look at the DoorDash. All time. Okay, it started out at, let's see, it was 12/20/20. It started out at 120, but look, it fell. Hello, you could have bought it in October of 22 for $43.53 on the close. October, $43.53. Now, let's say you had that. So we had our, how much is $4,296 divided by 43.53. That's 98 shares. Well, let's say you bought 100. You got 100 shares because you had extra cash. Let's make it an even 100. Multiply that by 190.09. 100 times 190. Crap. 100, it's going up so fast. Times 191.12. That's $19,000 that you would have made. Now, it's not 1 year, but let's see. That was October 22. Let's just make it, well, I was just going by the low. Let's see if, is it, let's go back up to 5. See, in 3/22, it was up a little bit. So that was not as much. But I'm just saying, okay, look, you could have said, okay, I know DoorDash is done with the big 2020 where everybody was using DoorDash for everything, but I think it's still going to go up. You could have made $19,000 in basically 10, which is 2 and 2 is 2 years, and 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, almost 6 months, 2.5 years. 2.5 years. 2.5 years. So you knew that Dash was you knew that Dash was a good, you had an idea, hey, this is a good product. It's gone down, down, down. Maybe you don't hit it on 10/22, but I'm just saying you get around in that area. I mean, hello. Well, on that day it had a high of 54. So, but 10/22, you're just saying, okay, we're looking at this. Let's go ahead and buy the Dash. So all I'm saying is, buying stuff that you know about. You may not know about Palantir. Okay, here's another one for you guys. I'll give you another free one that you can look at. Well, we may be, well, I'm not going to give you any more. I wanted to give you examples so you could see exactly what could happen in 2 or 3 years. 2 or 3 years. These are things, possibilities. You've saved the money because you've committed to, hey, now look, I'm just saying, let's say your mortgage is $1,500 a month with everything. Let's just make it even, $1,500. That's $18,000 in a year's time. And you have that every year that you're putting $2,000 a month. But I just wanted, so let's say that you have $20,000. Let's say you commit to $2,000 a month. So you have 24,000. What would have happened had you got the 24,000? Let's add that up. Let's do the 24,000. That's your house. And you have made these other commitments of the 2,400. So that's the food bill, the cable bill's no longer, and you cut down on your phone bill, and you're saving $840 for that, and so it's over. Let's just say $4,300. $4,300 plus, let's just say the 18,000 plus 18,000. That is 22,300. Now, divide that by 2380 would give you 936 shares. You multiply that by, let's see, I'm not looking at it now, I'm just going by the 8670, what we had earlier. I don't know what it's going for right now. This is the Palantir stock. So if you had 936 times, because we're talking about 1 year's time, guys. 1 year's time of the 22,300. You have $2,000 a month that you're not paying on a mortgage. You've finished paying all your debt, and you've also cut some bills. 3 bills: your grocery bill, your cable bill, and your phone bill. Times 86.7 that's $81,151.20. $81,150. Now, what does that take? That takes some cojones, because you're going to have to be in that. Of course, it wouldn't have taken that much with Palantir because the thing just kept going up. It didn't have really any downside. But I am just telling you, that is 1 year, a 1 year return that you put $22,000 in, and now it's $81,000. Now it's $81,000. That's almost 100. You can do a lot with that in retirement. Now multiply that. Let's say that. Okay, you did the 81,151, and then you have another 22,300 times 3. You don't put any more stock into anything, and you have 66,900 plus your 81,151, and you've got almost $150,000. $148,051 is what you would have, and that's a 4-year commitment. 4-year commitment. Can you make a commitment? First of all, if you have a mortgage, please contact me, because I can help. And you have debt. Please contact me. We can save you half to 1/3 the time to get it paid off. All of it paid off. And you can start using that money for you and what you want for your retirement. This is why people in America do not, because they do a refi and they go out and buy a boat. I'm just being honest with you. They do a refi, another 30 years, and then they're paying interest again. They're not even hitting into the balance of what the house is worth, they're still in interest. And it takes them 15 years before they even start paying down the principal. And then they refi again. It's not about refinancing. It's about paying off debt. Pay off your debt. Look and see where you're at. Now let's talk just for the last 4 minutes here. The last 4 minutes. This is the thing that you can do. You can, the easiest way to do this is you can look at whatever job that you're in. You look at your competitor, your competitor, your company's competitor, and you go to them and you say, I want this same job and I want a raise. I want a 10 or 15% raise. Well, if they're willing to give you, let's say you ask for a 15% and they give you 10. You go back to your own employer right now and say, you need to match this or I'm going there. That way you get a raise. You have to ask for it though. Or they say, no, I'm not giving you a raise. Then you have to make a commitment and go to the other company and get the 15%. That's how you do that. Or you can accumulate information as far as get training. Your company may even provide that for you, that you would become a more valuable individual to your company by getting certain, knowing certain things. Either getting a degree, increasing your knowledge on doing different types of things. You do it as a side hustle. These are all ways that you can increase and get more income coming into your house. And then you attack the expenses that you're having by reducing them, looking for ways to reduce it, and do that, and then making a commitment. Okay, I've got this sum of money. I mean, you can do it monthly and then pile it in a year at a time, but I mean, the best way to do the stock market, if you're contributing to it, is to dollar cost average, which means if you have $2,000 a month, you're putting $2,000 a month into it, and do it over time, because then it's the best way to make sure that you're not going to get the highs or the lows or whatever. Everything's going to dollar cost average out. So that's what you can do. But these are things that you have to do. You have to, first of all, look at where you're at. And you have to be honest with yourself. And you have to be willing to make a commitment. If you commit to it, the possibilities are just, they're out there for you. I'm just telling you, there are things that you can do that they are out there. Don't be ashamed of where you're at. Do not be ashamed of where you're at. You may need some help. That's why you can come to me at www.michellemorar.com and reach out to me. I would be glad to talk to you, see where you're at, and give you some guidance. But if you do have any other questions, make comments below, subscribe to the channel. I will see you next time. We're going to be out of here. We're a little bit early on the hour, but man, the whole thing that inspired this was babies born now will eventually need $2 million nest egg. Well, I don't know that they necessarily do, but the earlier you start, definitely the easier it is to accumulate that money. I can tell you that for sure. Anyhow, I will see you next time. See you later.